Peace and love, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Freedom Writers Wealth Building and Book Reading Club. I am your girl, Shay Marie. We are broadcasting right now live on YouTube. Just to let you all in the that are on the panel with me know. So how's everyone doing? You guys can unmute yourselves if you like.
Hey, what's happening? Peace and love.
Love to sound like Rod.
Yep, that's me.
You're learning about artifacts,
Love, mother.
just stories,
How are you?
travel. She loves to make people.
It's all good. It's all good.
Awesome. Okay, so
Peace and love to everybody.
peace and love, Mother Bridges. How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. Glad to have you here. Thank you for
Thank
joining.
you.
And you're mark the 20th anniversary of September
So
11th.
just been trying to stay up to date on, what's been going on in the economy, stay up to date with the cryptocurrency markets and things like that. So I did have some things I want to share with you all to kind of keep us all abreast. And last week last time we went into the wealth building thing or just did some training and getting information, we talked about dollar cost averaging and over a period of time and putting our dollars, investing into these different investments, such as we've been getting our silver, of course. So we've all, been dollar cost averaging with that. Also, investing into cryptocurrencies. I want to more so focus on cryptocurrencies that are not so much about hype, but are going to be cryptocurrencies that are definitely going to be around for a while based on the new technologies and the things, the way the industry and the economy is changing. We are moving more to a more technological based or economy, a new quantum physics or quantum economic type of system that they have for us. So with that being said, I want to keep us all up to date on some of those things that we can actually take advantage of. Because as I stated before, there's only 10% of the population that is taking advantage of the wealth transfer that is happening. And there is a great wealth transfer, and it is really, honestly, truthfully, still just the beginning. Because there are many, many different facets of life in general, or just of our society, that will be adopting this new technology, the blockchain. So one of the things that I wanted to show you today, but before we go further in that, I've been meaning and I've been forgetting to go over our affirmations and our prayers and things like that. So before I go any further, I want to make sure we're getting our affirmations in when we gather, you guys. So definitely want to say this affirmation or prayer. You guys can stay muted, just say it with me. I'm gonna hold on, gotta share this. Okay, so just we can all say it together, and you guys can just keep your mics muted. So this prayer is: the overshadowing presence which guides the planet, their course, and causes the sun to shine, watches over all of my possessions, my family, my business, my home, and all that is mine. The infinite spirit of the universe is my fortress and vault. All my powers and possessions are secure in the great infinite spirit of the universe. It is wonderful. Okay, and I did put that affirmation in the Telegram chat if you guys want to share it on your platforms. Kind of also bring some traction to freedomriders.org. That'll help get the word out about our organization and our community. So also our other affirmation I'm going to share. One moment. Okay, so, oh, wait, no, this is not the one. Wait. Pause. Here it is. Okay, so this is our community affirmation. So I'm just going to read it out loud and you guys can repeat it with me. I am a happy healer. True friends surround me. I have boundless energy. I have great wisdom. I am a true leader. I am filled with God-given creativity and dedicated to helping humanity. The Spirit of the Lord goes before me and makes easy and successful my way. I have faith in myself and all that I do. My creative mind comes forth with new and productive ideas day by day in every way. I am getting better and better. I attract true leaders who can help achieve my mission to better serve humanity. I praise God from whom all blessings flow. I will leave the world a better place than when I found it, so mote it be. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Right. Uh-oh. I didn't. Were you guys able to read that? I'm just seeing that the screen share was paused. If not, I'll just leave it up. My apologies about that. Okay, so moving forward, I did want to, hold on, I'm gonna have to stop sharing this actually. We're gonna talk about AMP is a cryptocurrency that I wanted to go over today. AMP, I don't know if you guys have heard anything about AMP or if any of you have maybe seen it on one of your platforms like crypto.com or Coinbase if you have a Coinbase account. But AMP is it's not a new cryptocurrency, it's been around for a while, but it's a cryptocurrency that I wanted to bring to you all's attention that you may want to take a look at and get an investment or making an investment into, because this is a cryptocurrency that is going to be adopted all around the world. We all know that El Salvador, there's actually another country, I can't pinpoint, it's on the top of my tongue, but there's another country as well that just recently adopted Bitcoin as their currency. So they're opting out of the fiat paper currency and they're adopting Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as their official currency in their country. So many countries are doing this around the world, you guys. And so like I said, this is still just the beginning. There are still millions and trillions and billions of dollars still to get into this industry, into this economy. And so we are, by being what I call early adopters or early investors, or founder investors of these these technologies, of this economy, because for a lot of us, this is something that's never been accessible to any of us, especially over the years. There was the stock market, but the only really way that you could invest in the stock market was like through 401ks and things like that. A lot of us didn't know how to go about investing outside of like Forex and putting your own money into different stocks and things like that. And so times are definitely changing. And now the doors are opening where, like I said, the greatest wealth transfer is happening and a redistribution of wealth is taking place. And you want to position yourself to grab a hold to some of the wealth that is happening. So AMP is a cryptocurrency that's solving one of the problems or one of the issues of the centralized banking that we are all trying to get out of. Which is the real reason, or one of the reasons why cryptocurrency came about to begin with. So I'm going to just minimize this, and we're going to pull up information about AMP. One moment. Uh-oh. Okay. So AMP is one of the cryptocurrencies that is going to be, it's actually not a currency, it's going to be provided as a collateral for being able to transact for business. So it's a business to business token. It's a token that's going to be used basically business to business for businesses to the collateral, to hold the collateral for the transactions, should I say. So I'm gonna play this video very quickly to explain that.
I'm Dustin Planold, the host of the Block Card Learn video series. Our Block Card Learn video series is designed to provide a quick and easy to understand overview on some of the most popular coins, tokens, and various digital assets available in today's crypto ecosystem. Thanks for watching, and please share these videos if you find them helpful.
What is AMP? AMP, previously known as Flexicoin, is a cryptocurrency adaptation that acts as a collateral asset. It was developed with the intention to collateralize retail payments within the Flexa network. AMP helps to limit the tension of crypto payments between customers and merchants using fiat or crypto in order to ensure a merchant's confidence in accepting a user's money. This type of cryptocurrency is primarily helpful for business-to-business transactions because funds are temporarily secured during the processing period, a transaction while waiting for confirmation on the blockchain. In this way, AMP functions as an insurance policy to notify buyers and traders that cryptocurrency transactions are in progress. As an ERC20 token, AMP is easily accessible because developers built the Flexa network on the Ethereum blockchain. The supply of AMP is fixed at 100 billion coins. This digital asset was built specifically to function as collateral, to secure transactions for merchant-to-merchant payments. While a transaction processes, there is a period of time where it is unconfirmed, which can take seconds to hours, and AMP is used to ensure the value of that transfer until confirmation. Use cases for this project include not only payments, but lending, exchanges, and remittances. AMP was built on the Flexa network, which aims to provide fast and secure payments for merchants worldwide. In addition, AMP is compatible with any value transfer, digital or physical, and remains decentralized and open source.
Digital assets like this one are supported by Block Card, and you can use them to fund your Block Card account and make purchases at over 50 million merchants worldwide. You can also use Block Card bank accounts to purchase popular assets like this one. Register for a free Block Card account at getblockcard.com.
Okay, so I wanted to pull up Coinbase. Let me minimize the screen right quick, guys. I got so much stuff. So the reason why I wanted to show you AMP is because it's one of those, as we can see, it's going to be around. It has good use case. There was another video. I don't want to bore you all with videos or whatever, but as a matter of fact, let me see. Let me pull this. So right now, this coin is at 5 cents. So you can get this coin on crypto.com, or if you have a Coinbase account, you can also come on here on CoinMarketCap. I've told you guys about CoinMarketCap, which basically provides all of the information about each cryptocurrency that is on the market. So as you can see here, you can get AMP on Coinbase. You can get it on Binance, on Gemini, on Bittrex, on crypto.com. Some of these you guys are probably not familiar with. The ones that you are familiar with or should be by now are Coinbase, if you have a Coinbase account, and most definitely crypto.com. And you can get it through other exchanges such as Hotbit. Hotbit is similar to like KuCoin. We've done a training on how to buy on KuCoin. I don't want to confuse you guys with this. So the easiest, most simplest way to get you some of the AMP coin is probably to go to through crypto.com right now. Now I know that Mother Mia isn't able to, so I will have to assist you on the side whenever you're ready to be able to purchase those. You probably would have to go through like Bittrex if you have one of those accounts, or I don't think you have you can use Binance either. So we'll have to figure out.
I'm sorry, I have Coinbase. Is it on Coinbase?
It's on Coinbase, yeah. So if you have Coinbase, then you're good. Yep, it's real simple to purchase on Coinbase. And then if you get it on Coinbase, I do see that on crypto.com, I believe there's a where you can earn as well. So if you wanted to get them on Coinbase, transfer them over to crypto.com to be able to stake and earn on top of those, then you can do that, I believe. So if you need assistance with that, then you'd have to just reach out to me, and we'll set up some type of consultation for assistance with that. I did just one of, how can I say, a kind of like a advisor or someone that I look up to who's very good at the charts and understanding the charts and things of that nature. I just recently, about an hour ago, there was a video that they dropped talking about the price of AMP potentially dropping. So, and he's basing this basically off of the price, the rise or fall of Bitcoin. So you want to keep an eye on the price of Bitcoin and the price of AMP at the same time over the next maybe couple of days to try to maybe see if you can get the coin at a cheaper price than what it is now. So follow Bitcoin's price, as well as follow the trend on this. As you can see right now, it's down 3.36% over the past day. So just keep an eye on it. If you plan to, in the next few days, invest into this, just watch the price of it instead of just dropping your money all in today. Because the price may potentially go down based on what's happening in the markets with Bitcoin, which is potentially possible to be going down some more as well. So, and doing more corrections, okay? So I just want to show you all that. You can do more research. I just want to point you in, a direction of a currency or a crypto that you may want to invest in, something that is going to be around for a long time, and it's definitely because of what's happening with the adoption in other countries of cryptocurrency for this is more so for, like doing transactions business to business. So for stores and things of that nature. So this is what that is going to be serving purpose for merchants, should I say, not stores, but actually basically just merchants. Okay. Any questions about AMP? Okay. Now another thing I wanted to bring to you all's attention is, I don't know if you've been hearing about NFTs, but they're called NFTs or non-fungible tokens. Okay, so I just wanted to point you in this direction about NFTs because I don't know if we have any artists or any music professionals or, these are NFTs is what's going to be able it's going to change the game in the digital arts field for people who are art creators, whether it's paintings or digital art makings, whatever the case may be. You can be able to start getting putting your art out there a little bit more and getting compensated for your work, for your talents. I do know, like, the art industry it's been difficult for artists to get their work out there and be seen. So this is a great thing that's changing the industry. It's doing also the gaming industry. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about their kids making money now in the gaming industry, and as far as with cryptocurrencies, and it has a lot to do with the NFTs and stuff like that, and the different blockchains that are being provided to make those things possible. And so what you are potentially investing in is the technologies of these different types of use cases or cryptocurrencies that are coming into the marketplace to change different and provide different solutions for different industries. Okay, so I'm going to play this quick video. It's about 4 minutes long that kind of explains what the NFTs are.
NFT stands for non.
And while I'm live, this video is for educational purposes only, fair use.
Fungible token. Non-fungible means that something cannot be exchanged for another item because it is unique. For instance, one piece of art is not equal to another. Both have unique properties. Fungible items, on the other hand, can be exchanged for one another. For instance, $1 or Bitcoin is always equal to another. Okay, but what is an NFT? NFTs are tokens that live on a blockchain and represent ownership of unique items. Why is that helpful? Well, tracking who owns a digital file is tricky because it can be copied and distributed effortlessly. So how can you prove who's the original owner when everyone has an identical copy of the file? NFTs solve this problem. Imagine that you made a piece of digital art, essentially a JPEG on your computer. You can create or mint an NFT out of this. The NFT that represents your art contains a bit of information about it, such as a unique fingerprint of the file, a token name, and a symbol. This token is then stored onto a blockchain and you, the artist, become the owner. Now you can sell that token by creating a transaction on the blockchain. The blockchain makes sure that this information can never be tampered with. It also allows you to track who is the current owner of a token and for how much it has been sold in the past. It's important to note that the artwork itself is not stored within the NFT or the blockchain. Only its attributes such as the fingerprint or hash of the file, a token name and symbol, and optionally a link to a file hosted on IPFS. More about that in this video here. Now here's where NFTs become weird. When you buy an NFT that represents artwork, you don't get a physical copy of it. Heck, most of the time, everyone can download a copy for free. The NFT only represents ownership, and that is recorded in a blockchain so nobody can tamper with it. Some say that NFTs give you digital bragging rights. And to make it even weirder, while the token owner owns the original artwork, the creator of the NFT retains the copyright and the reproduction rights. So an artist can sell his original artwork as an NFT, but he can still sell prints. Now, aside from digital art, NFTs can also be used to sell concert tickets, domain names, rare in-game items, real estate, and basically anything that is unique and needs proof of ownership. For example, the founder of Twitter sold his first tweet as an NFT. Anyone can see that tweet on his profile, but now only one person can own it, and that person paid over $2.9 million for it. I could even make an NFT out of this video. You could then buy it and be the owner of this video, even though it is free to watch for everyone. Now, why are some NFTs worth millions? Well, their worth is determined by what people are willing to pay for it. If I'm willing to pay $100 for a particular NFT, then it's worth $100. Prices are driven by demand, so be careful. An expensive NFT becomes worthless if nobody wants to buy it. Okay, one more thing before we end. How do they work technically? NFTs are essentially smart contracts that live on a blockchain. In this case, the contract stores the unique properties of the item and keeps track of current and previous owners. An NFT can even be programmed to give royalties to the creator every time it exchanges hands. So there you have it, NFTs explained in under 4 minutes. I hope you found this interesting, and if you did, consider subscribing to this channel. Thanks for watching, until next time.
Okay. So that explains NFTs. So I just want to give you an idea of the things that are out there as I continue to do my research and then start diving into more of these new technologies, more of these things that are taking place and happening, then I will be able to present them to you all and help you all further your knowledge and experience in it as well. And then also by me bringing it to your awareness, if you guys want to take the liberty of, you know, uh, you know, getting the information yourselves and presenting it to us, as a community, then, anyone is more welcome to do that, you know, or share some of the knowledge that you may have. So with that being said, did anyone have any questions? I also wanted to let you all know, or just make you all aware or whatever about the new items that Quicksilver has. Just make sure you guys are checking out the emails that they're sending out and checking out the member shop area for the new items that they're dropping all of the time. Some beautiful, nice silver pieces. I just seen a Lions King coin that I want to get with Timon, Puma, and Simba on it. So that's something I'm looking into. Other than that, we are going to go ahead and start reading from our book. We've been reading Hardcore Redemption. We started from the introduction and we read chapter 1 on this past Tuesday. So I'm going to pick up on chapter 2. And if anyone has their book and would like to read along, just let me know. And I will hand over the mic to you on the next chapter. Okay? So we're reading Hardcore Redemption and Law, Commercial Freedom and Release by David E. Robinson. And we are starting from chapter 2. So chapter 2 is a New Testament flood. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament sheweth his handiwork. Psalms 19:1. God is the origin of all law. All of nature testifies to God and to his glory. And Hebrew Poetry witnesses to a New Testament flood, a mirror image of the flood of Old Testament fame. In the allegory at the time of creation, God created his world, and it was good. He established paradise as the Garden of Eden. There he placed Adam and Eve, whom he created, and they were good. But after they fell away from God's grace, men became so depraved that a great flood covered the earth and destroyed everyone except Noah and his family who followed God's law. God put them into a vessel called an ark. They had no remedy of recourse via the law of the land. They were converted into maritime sailors who survived by the law of the sea until God gave them land again on which to live. A scriptural time of completion is 7 years, and to God each year is 1,000 years. Thus, to God, a time of completion is 7,000 years, which 7,000th year has started just about now. At the time of completion, according to the book of Revelation, God's people will again be established in a new Jerusalem, a new Garden of Eden, where God's creation will again reflect the harmony of heaven. Interestingly, the world has been in a condition of maritime admiralty law now for the past several hundred years. The world is in a state of democracy, not a republic. Politics is a world of water, a water world, not a world of the land. There is no remedy, as in the law of the land. We are experiencing the New Testament flood. God has once again placed a covering of water over the land as the waters cover the sea, at a time in history that mirrors and parallels the Old Testament flood. The first flood was physical, but his present flood is mental and legal and spiritual. But the weapons or our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. 2 Corinthians 10:4-5. Man is now on the threshold of a new era, of a new beginning. And the prophecy of Thomas More's poetic vision is becoming realized at last. When from the lips of truth, one mighty breath shall, like a whirlwind, scatter to the breeze the whole dark pile of human mockeries, then shall the reign of mine commence on earth, and starting fresh as from a seventh birth, man in the sunshine of the world's new spring shall walk transparent like some holy thing. One moment, everyone, please. Okay, my apologies. Okay, I lost the page. Okay. Page 27. As God sent an ark to save his overcomers today, as he saved Noah and Noah's family of the past, yes, God established a flood over the New Testament law form to mirror the Old Testament flood. and to conceal his plan of salvation from those who have eyes but cannot see, who are not living under the knowledge of his law. He did this to give man a time to reign on earth and to show you things you must shortly come to pass, which must shortly come to pass. Your straw man is a legal fiction, a vessel afloat on the surging sea of commerce. This vessel, like Noah's Ark, can be the means of your salvation, or if you choose not to take command of it, a vessel to Babylon and the destruction that will come when Babylon goes down, as foretold in Christ's revelation to St. John. Everyone needs a vessel to navigate this New Testament flood. The only question is whether you choose a vessel under your control, under your own title, or a vessel controlled by the kings of this world, Babylon. By surrendering your vessel's title, the title to your straw man, to a public register. You need your straw man vessel to conduct business on the surging sea of commerce. To separate yourself from your straw man is to drown in the commercial sea and to destroy your remedy at hand. The answer is not to separate yourself from your straw man any more than you would separate yourself from your body. The answer is to register your vessel in the private domain instead of pledging your vessel straw man to the private public domain. I'm sorry, to the bankrupt public domain. There is no law of the land anymore. The world as we know it today is an admiralty, emergency military government, democracy run public institution. There is no national sovereignty anymore. All nations of the world are bankrupt. They operate as emergency governments. All emergency governments are military governments that control all public corporations and institutions directly. Military governments control private entities by contract agreements and treaty agreements between the parties. There is no law of the land. The Constitution of the United States declares that there shall be no standing army during times of peace, but it does not prohibit a standing navy because the navy sails the high seas and does not come inland. In theory, that is. However, the standing navy is being used to subvert the peaceful existence of the people of the land. There is no land today, so the navy sails wherever it will. The government is in a state of military emergency. During war, there is no law. There is no law to protect the people except their private right to contract, to come out of the public domain. The commercial process of redemption is based upon the principles of contract law. It has nothing to do with constitutional law. It is founded on the concept that all men have an equal capacity to contract, unless they surrender that capacity and choose to be the voluntary servant of a master instead. The commercial process of redemption, CPR, is founded on the concept of the pledge, in which one has the right to privately pledge one's energy, one's labor, and assets to the private good instead of the public domain. It is based in part on the principle that after one has made a pledge upon, he can change his mind at any time and for any reason and redeem that pledge or pawn, either directly or by way of his next of kin. We've been made servants and slaves to the world without our knowledge or consent, and slaves have no remedies and no rights. We cannot become sovereign or free in our private rights until we have redeemed our right to contract through the process of redemption in law. This requires the paying of discharging the debt into which we have fallen, that makes us debtors to the state. As long as we owe that debt to the state, we have no remedy, and we cannot be free. But that debt has been prepaid by Christ. Truth. We live in the water world. The Navy has survived the lands of North America. The surveys were done by the U.S. Coast and geodetic survey teams that are a part of the Navy and Coast Guard. The datum point for survey elevations is the top of the highest peak in the land, where every elevation below that top of the highest peak in the land is deemed to be below sea level. The world is a metaphorical ocean of commerce with no law of the land. No one can carry out legal commerce except from the deck of a corporate vessel. Scripture talks about one's body being one's vessel. Your corporate straw man, created in all cap letter name upon its birth, B-E-R-T-H, or birth, B-I-R-T-H, became the name of the vessel upon which you carry out commerce during the time of your life here on earth. Your straw man's name is the name of your vessel in commerce. It's the trade name under which you trade. Military democracy, being an admiralty emergency government, cannot recognize any real person in commerce. It only sees or recognizes your vessel as a publicly registered corporation to be dealt with in commerce under the law of the flag and the registration of the vessel. If your vessel, which is your straw man, is registered publicly to the United States military democracy, but the application for a birth certificate, your vessel comes under the law of the District of Columbia, laws of the federal zone. Your vessel meets the conditions and requirements of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution that was adopted in 1868, the year of the Communist Manifesto. The 14th Amendment reads, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, instead of the Constitution for the United States of America of 1787, are citizens of the United States. Servants and voluntary slaves to the debts of the emergency bankruptcy and the state wherein they reside. It is the public registration of the vessel by the application of the birth certificate that makes one subject to the jurisdiction of the United States democracy in contradistinction to the United States Republic. Your remedy is to register your vessel in the private domain instead of the public domain that it's now registered to have your vessel privately controlled by you instead of publicly controlled by the state, the bankrupt public United States. Take note of the law of the military war zone. Any vessel sighted upon high seas during times of emergency or war is subject to inspection, search, and seizure if the vessel is not properly registered or if its actions are not neutral with respect to the warring states. A vessel without a flag showing the colors of its registry is deemed to be a private vessel operating outside the laws of the high seas and can be dealt with according to the principles of war dealing with an enemy vessel. The flag of the vessel is supported by the registry documents of the vessel. The process of redemption in law is the process of redeeming the registry of the vessel, the straw man, from the public domain and making it private. And as in any process of redemption, there is a debt to be paid associated with the pledge and registry on the public side. This debt is paid when you surrender your birth certificate and tender a bill of exchange to the Secretary of State, to the Secretary of Treasury of the United States in his private capacity via the IRS to discharge your strawman's debt to the public domain. Without a discharge of the debt, there can be no redemption of the pawn. The item pledged, your vessel or strawman. When the debt has been discharged, you are no longer a debtor to the state. You are a creditor of the state instead. You now have standing in law. If you have not redeemed your straw man, then you have not redeemed your vessel of commerce on the high seas. If your straw man is still owned by the public United States, then you, the living, breathing soul, are floating in a vessel of the bankrupt corporate United States democracy and subject to all the laws and privileges thereof. The bankruptcy and takeover of the United States did not destroy the republic known as the United States of America. The republic is still here. It's just not accessible by anyone on the bankrupt public side because it is private. You can access it by your right of private contract through the redemption in law process, if you know how. For the earth shall be full of knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. Isaiah 11:9. All right. That's chapter 2. Did anyone want to read chapter 3, or I'll continue reading? Okay. Chapter 3.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mother. But I can read. My microphone wasn't working.
No problem. Okay.
Okay. It says, chapter 3 says, debtor, creditors, and redemption. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. John 7:24 says, everything you deal with in life has a reality world in which you live, and a man-made world that parallels it in mirrored form. You were trained backwards. You don't understand the laws. You don't understand the difference between reality and fiction. In man's world, fiction is form. In God's world, substance. God created you in his image and likeness. Man created a form, an application form for the registration of your body, referred to as an application for birth certificate, the birth report. But God did not tell you to register your body to the kings of this world. In scripture, when David took the census of the men and numbered them when he was told not to do so by God, 70,000 Israelites died at the hands of the Lord because they committed a crime registering to the king. 1 Chronicles 12:1-14. The king does not deal with your physical body. He gets you to register the title of your body to him, which is a violation of God's law. Now that you have registered your body to the king, you have volunteered your body into slavery, subjected to the king of this world. When parents register their child through a security process, they are pledging legal title to the child to the state, to the kings of this world. Even though the child may think he is free, there is a security instrument which represents the title to the thing in the real world, the child's. As far as the lawyers and the kings of this world are concerned, that security title, which is the birth certificate, is the only thing that they see. It's more important to them than God's reality, the child. If they hold the security, the title, to little Johnny or little Mary, if they're the holder in due course of the deed, that is the title to the thing that which you thought belonged to you, your child, then the state holds legal title to everything you think you own. They are playing in the securities world, the only world that appears to them. The term, quote unquote, owner is not what you think it is. The state told you that you were the, quote unquote, owner of what you own. An owner, quote unquote, has equitable title to the thing, not legal. Legal title gives the holder total control of the thing. Equitable title gives the holder temporary use and process. And equitable title gives the holder temporary use and possession of the thing. Temporary possession of the realty, but not possession of the security instrument represents the actual legal title to the thing, actual property. So basically, you don't own your home, you got temporary use of it. Who always wins in court? The holder of the title or the temporary possessor of the thing. The holder of the title, the actual holder of control. Every situation and transaction has two parties, the creditor and the debtor. Scripture tells us that the debtor is servant to the master. The creditor can do no wrong. He has legal title to his property, the thing, so he can do no wrong. Your thinking is wrong. You're seeing everything backwards. If you are not the creditor, you are not in control. You gave away your control. You gave your legal title away. A bankruptee does not have legal title to anything because a bankruptee, by definition, is a debtor to a creditor. The United States was declared bankrupt by definition in 1933, but the bankruptcy didn't begin in 1933. It began in 1782. In 1782, Benjamin Franklin, who's an esquire, under the authority of the Continental Congress, signed a 6-year mortgage with the Crown in England via the first treaty of peace after the Revolutionary War. An acknowledgement that the Continental Congress had on 21 separate occasions borrowed a total of 18 million liras from the Crown of England through the Crown's agent in Paris, the Rothschild Bank. The Treaty of Peace that ended the Revolutionary War was signed in Paris the following year, in 1783. The 6-year mortgage was to come due on January 1st, 1788, and Congress knew they couldn't pay it. So Congress convened the Constitutional Convention a year before to recognize the government and give the King of England a pledge of security to underwrite the debt so that the Crown wouldn't call the Confederate government due on the loan. Constitution. Definition: a contract in international commerce. It is not a people thing. Constitutor. Definition: a person who transfers his debt to someone else. A person is a corporation according to the law. The Confederate United States transferred its debt to the states that became parties to the Constitutum of 1787. Article 4 says that all the treaties in existence at the time of the Constitution of 1787 are in full force and effect, including the Paris Peace Debt Treaty, 1782, when Benjamin Franklin signed the 6-year mortgage of the United States to the Crown. The mortgage was offered to the states, and each state accepted it when they ratified the Constitutum for the United States, 1787. The Crown in England holds a mortgage on all of the King's prior colonies, which includes the states, a priority agreement stating that the Crown is the first creditor to get paid. Basically, everything we do now goes to Crown. The Founding Fathers reorganized the bankrupt government before the debt was due, so they wouldn't have to tell the people what was really being done. As soon as the Constitution was ratified, George Washington, under emergency war powers, went to Congress and created the first national bank of the United States, a private national bank, forerunner of the non-federal Federal Reserve. The purpose of this first national bank of the United States was to hold the assets, the securities of the United States, as the pledge collateral on the mortgage. The bank was a private third party that held the assets to pay off the loan to the Crown of England under international law. The bank was the receiver of the Crown. The creditors were and are now fully in charge. During the bankruptcy, the creditors run the corporation called the United States. All the real officials of the government today are esquires as was Benjamin Franklin in his time, who were agents for the Crown of England. In America today, Crown agents run the legislative, executive, and judicial branches of the government as a one world branch. These esquires represent the creditor, the Crown, during the bankruptcy reorganization of the United States. They are complying with the law. It's us lunatic patriots in America who are violating the law when we criticize our masters who are legally ruling us under God. In bondage, 70 years. Under international law, if a nation cannot pay its debt, the debts are forgiven in every 70 years. The number 70 deals with 7 and 10. 7 is completion, which is a sabbatical time for individuals. You get your debts canceled in the 7th year, but a nation's sabbatical time is 10 times 7, or 70 years. 70 years added to 1789, when the mortgages was renewed, comes to 1859. We could have come out of the national debt in 1859, but the nation chose to re-enlist in the debt because of the pending war between the states. Add 70 years to 1859, and you come to the Great Depression of 1929. When we could have come out of the national debt then, we didn't, because the farmers of America were forced to pledge their private lands to the public domain in exchange for public assistance from the banks. The farmers pledged their lands to the national debt, so the nation continued in debt. Based on the presumption of regulating and saving farming, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, under his emergency war power declarations, instituted the New Deal and land control to overcome the Depression, and it's still in effect today. Add 70 years to 1929, and you come to the Clinton impeachment of 1999. The Clinton impeachment didn't deal merely with impeaching Clinton. It dealt with a public notice as to whether or not the people wanted to remain in the bankruptcy to the Crown, or whether the people wanted to come out of bankruptcy and restore the republic. 3 periods of 70 years is 210 years in bankruptcy. The number 210 deals with 21 and 10. 21 is referred to in scripture as the time of Jacob's trouble. Jacob served 7 years for Laban, 7 years for Leah, and 7 years for Rachel. 10 times 21 years is 210 years, the time Israel spent in captivity in Egypt. We are the New Testament Israel. We've been enslaved for 210 years in a modern Egypt, modern Babylon. We were due to come out January 1st, 2000. The people unknowingly elected to stay in the bankruptcy to the Crown and maintain democracy. This is why the United States is going big time into the New World. Since the public elected to stay in the bankruptcy after 210 years in captivity, the people have been given the opportunity to separate themselves from the public domain and its debt and become private freemen, to come out from under the bankruptcy of the democracy through redemption and law process. That is what commercial redemption is all about. Only a remnant will come out. If you're trying to save the United States, it isn't going to happen. It's already lost. But you could come out of Babylon before it goes down, as the book of Revelation says it will, and come into the New Jerusalem anew. Come out of her, my people, that ye receive not of her plagues. Revelation 18:4.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, and you know what else happened? So a year later, or about a year and something later, 2001 is like what happened with the Twin Towers. So
Right.
even during that time, we were supposed to have come out. It's almost like every time we try to come out, something is, happens.
They make some type of major catastrophe happen or
Right.
something like that to distract everyone from what's really taking place. Absolutely.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. Whew.
Yeah, very. So moving on to chapter 4, uh, loyal to the crown. The government and the judicial system of the United States at both the federal and local state levels is owned by the crown in England. This is not the crown of the Queen of England or the royal families of Britain. This is a private foreigner power, the Templar Church, known for centuries by the world as the Crown. The Crown is also known as the Crown Temple or the Crown Templar, all three titles being synonymous. The Temple Church was built by the Knights Templar in two parts, the round and the chancel. The round church was modeled after the circular church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem and was dedicated in 1185. The chancel was built in 1240. Note the title Chancellor. The temple church serves both the inner and middle temples and is located between Fleet Street and Victoria Embankment at the Thames River in London. Its ground house, the Crown Offices at Crown Office Row. This temple church is outside any canonical jurisdiction. The master of the temple is appointed and takes his place by sealed non-public patent without induction or institution. All licensed bar attorneys in the U.S. owe their allegiance and swear their solemn oath in public to the Crown Temple, whether they realize this or not. All bar associations throughout the world are signatories and franchisees to the International Bar Association, located at the Inns of Court at Crown Temple, physically located at Chancery Lane behind Fleet Street in London. Although they strongly deny it, all bar associations in the U.S., such as the American Bar Association, the Florida Bar, or California Bar, are franchises of the Crown. The Inns of Court uses the banking and judicial system of the City of London, a sovereign and independent territory not a part of Great Britain, just as Washington, D.C. is not a part of the North American states, nor is it a state to defraud, coerce, and manipulate the American people. Well, they claim that it's one now. These Fleet Street bankers and lawyers are committing crimes in America under the guise and color of law. They are known collectively as the Crown. The lawyers are actually Templar bar attorneys, not lawyers. The Queen of England is not the Crown, as we have all been led to believe. Rather, the Crown is the banker and attorneys who are the actual Crown, or Crown Templar, or Crown Temple. The monarchical aristocrats of England have not been ruling sovereigns since the reign of King John and the Magna Carta of circa 1215. All royal sovereignty of the old British crown since that time has passed to the Crown Temple in Chancery. The USA is not the free and sovereign nation that our federal government tells us that it is. If this were true, we would not be dictated by the Crown Temple through its bankers and attorneys. The USA is controlled and manipulated by the private foreign power, and our unlawful federal U.S. government is their pawnbroker. The bankers and bar attorneys in the USA are a franchise in oath and allegiance to the Crown and Chancery. The Crown Temple Church and its chancel located at Chancery Lane. The bankers and bar attorneys in the U.S. are committed in oath and allegiance to the manipulative body of elite bankers and attorneys from the independent city of London, who violate the laws in America by imposing fraudulent, legal, but totally unlawful contracts on the American people. The banks rule the temple church, and the attorneys carry out their orders by controlling their victims' judiciary. This is not a new ruling system by any means, in that the first chancel of the temple church was built by by the Knights Templar. The chancel or church chancery of the crown inner temple court was the location where King John was based in January 1215, when the English barons demanded that he confirm the right enshrined in the Magna Carta. This city of London temple was this quote unquote city of London temple was the headquarters of the Templar Knights in Great Britain, where order and rule were first made, which became known as the Code. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye are like unto white sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones, and of all uncleanness. Matthew 23 and 27. By what authority has the crown usurped the natural sovereignty of the American people? It is acceptable to the people that the U.S. Supreme Court decides constitutional issues in the USA. How can it be? Let me read that again. Is it acceptable to the people that the U.S. Supreme Court decides constitutional issues in the USA? How can it be considered in any manner constitutional when this same Supreme Court is appointed, not elected, and paid for by the federal government? The land of North America belongs to the Crown Temple in England. The private non-federal Federal Reserve System is financially owned and controlled by the Crown. From Switzerland, the home and legal origin of the charters of the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, the World Trade Organization, and most importantly, the Bank of International Settlements. Even Hitler respected his crown bankers by not bombing Switzerland. The Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, controls all of the central banks of the G8 nations of the world. He who controls the gold rules the world. Blessed are those that struggle, for oppression is worse than the grave. 'Tis better to die for a noble cause than to live and die as a slave. Lost Poets. Anyone up for chapter 5? And this will be the last chapter and we'll get out of here. Okay, I'll read. It says, your name is your bond.
I'm sorry, Mother. I was trying to get to my
It's
thing.
okay.
Okay. It says, your name is your bond. Big Brother's master plan to subject human race is entirely dependent upon the people continuing to volunteer for and finance their own enslavement. Without such largest, generous giving from the public, our chosen masters face a certain calamity and exposure for their crimes. Wherefore, heretofore, system operatives have been overwhelmingly successful at duping unwitting victims into volunteering for virtually every kind of financial exploitation imaginable, and it is all strictly voluntary. In 1935, we converted over from substance-backed currency, which was gold, to promise-backed currency, which was credit. The objective of promise-backed currency is to drive all players in the commercial field, except favored elite, into bankruptcy. Everyone is competing for the same ration amount of Federal Reserve notes, RNs, attempting to stay afloat in the sea of debt and avoid bankruptcy. This is a de facto state of commercial war in a game of life. The only way to stay in the game and avoid bankruptcy is to obtain more FRNs from other players around you, as in Monopoly game, life, wherein but one party, the elite, wins all in the end. All money is borrowed into existence, and more money is owed than physically exists, because the principal amount is borrowed, but the interest paid on it is not. Interest payments have to come from the principal amount borrowed, thus depleting the money supply, requiring more borrowing and a never-ending spiral into more debt. The most devastating form of volunteering occurs when you promise to be responsible for and pay someone else's debt. This is how the ever unwary individual seals his fate. The trade name game involves an unthinking twin that works hand in hand with it. The legal masters of the world are aware of the distinction between your true name and your trade name, and have come up with an ingenious device for explaining the difference between the two names without tipping their hand. The reason why the name on every driver's license, social security card, utility bills, etc., is set in all capital letters, converted from proper English to legalese. The reason why all banks insist on listing all accounts, not in the true name of the party who walks in and fills out the form, but in the artificial trade name associated with it, within, is to conduct business with you via your unknown, invisible, corporately colored artificial person strawman that is subjected to all their statutory regulations and therefore under their complete control, regardless of constitutional constraints. The same applies equally when either of the two names are called out verbally. Different constructed names comprise distinctly different items of property, however alike they sound. Most people believe that an appellation is nothing but an archaic synonym for a name. Example, Christian appellation. The reason people have been generally led to misunderstand the meaning of this obscure term is the same reason that Big Brother calls himself a sovereign and you his subject under political subjugation. Subject to compelled allegiance to the United States and the British Crown, when it is actually the other way around. You are the sovereign and Big Brother is your subject instead. Most people believe that when their names is called, they are obligated to respond, as though the use of their name exerts control over their lives. For instance, playing a role in public school taught us to automatically respond to any mention of our name. Your name is a piece of property. It can even be copyrighted so that no one else can use it without your permission and or paying you a fee. You are not your property. You are not your name. An appellation is something that originates with someone else. It is a plea for communication. Others use your appellation to address you, to accost you, to get your attention. Others use your appellation to address you, to accost you, and to get your attention. And how you respond to such an appeal is entirely up to you. Your acknowledgement of your name surrenders jurisdictional powers and control to the appealing party. People in America have lost sight of the fact that they are sovereign and that nothing can be foisted from them without their consent, agreement. This is a fact of life. No one can legally victimize you without your consent. People have lost sight of who the boss is and who the servant is and who they really are. Your name is a piece of property. It is not the living, breathing, flesh and blood man associated therewith. Your name is not you. When someone asks you for your name and you give it to him without thinking of the consequences, you voluntarily surrendered your private property, your name, to the other party and consensually and contractually pre-agree with whatever he wants to do with it. If he is a judge in court, this can be extremely dangerous. If you choose to respond when someone uses your name, your common law copyrighted property, to get your attention, you form an invisible contract with him without compensation, giving him jurisdiction over you. And that gift is viewed as your sovereign, self-determined voluntary choice. The world operates on the intuitive of about 5% of the people, 5 out of each 100, and the rest of the people need orders to perform. Such inert abstractions as governments, banks, tax agencies, courts, and corporations all separate jurisdictional realms, have been afforded superiority over every living being. Governments are transitory mental contrivances set up by the clever few for the purpose of, for the most part, living off the efforts of the trusting many. The entire population of this country, even this planet, has been systematically deceived through an inconceivably complex mechanism in the world, in the field of commerce, law, and finances, by the same tribe of worldly, brilliant sociopaths who are intent on your subjugation and control. But you can begin dealing with the situation from the proper viewpoint as a self-governing, fully accountable, responsible man or woman who can control and is in control of his or her own destiny, despite the apparently overwhelming odds stacked against us. Knowing that you are not your name and that you as a sovereign can take legal possession of your name in all its forms, like any other piece of private property, that the option of accepting or rejecting any appellation from any party that comes your way is strictly yours in your sovereign capacity, will speed and ease your court. It says that the option of accepting or rejecting any appellation in any form from any party that comes your way is strictly yours in your sovereign capacity. This will speed and ease your course in life. Your trade name is your straw name. Your trade name is your straw man, and you, by default, as its surety, are responsible for knowing and complying with every letter of the law in every situation in existence, because everyone is presumed to know the law, and ignorance of the law is no excuse. If the word manipulators who claim the legal title to the straw man with whom you are presumed to be contractually unified, decide to tax, fine, regulate, rob, incarcerate, and maybe even kill you, then you are the physical, biological being experiences the consequences in reality. In such capacity as a straw man, you have no standing in law. A slave cannot sue his master or any other slave because his master owns him. All of your commercial accounts are in the name of your straw man trade name. All of your commercial accounts are your straw man's accounts, not yours. You are the commodity accommodating party, the surety attached thereto. You are the party everyone looks to for payment and for performance, because you are the only one capable of paying your straw man's debts. Unless and until you rectify the situation through the redemption and law process. Unless and until you rectify the situation through the redemption and law process. The government accepted custody of your name, your property, when you were born and registered it via your original birth record. The straw man was birthed as a vessel on the first document emitted by the government referencing your name. Since everything about you is registered in the name of and accessed by a straw man trade name, all your property is considered to be your straw man's property as an essential public relation tool for maintaining order within the flock. The entire planet functions on a mirror image world of unreality, anchored by private money that represents liability, not substance. An example, Federal Reserve notes. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to stop here, Mother Shay.
Okay, that's fine. I can take over and read the last two or three pages.
Okay, much gratitude.
No problem. Thank you for reading, Mother, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay. Page 48, you guys. It says, we all live on the Federal Reserve plantation where the Federal Reserve is not an is not an agency of government, a private banking monopoly. Government has no other way of doing business with you except via your trade name, Strawman. Any presentment to you is either a demand for payment or for your acceptance, depending upon who you know you are. In other words, a presentment is a demand for you to accept responsibility for paying or discharging some charge or for the performance of some act. For instance, a public officer issues a charge against your straw man, such as a traffic ticket, demanding you to accept the responsibility of the officer's order to your straw man for him to appear, and if necessary, have you pay his ticket to discharge the charge. If at any point in the process the motorist fails to accept responsibility for his straw man and ultimately pay the ticket, the charge against his straw man, the motorist is arrested and jailed in lieu of or in place of his straw man. When anyone in the government demands that you accept responsibility to perform some acts in lieu of your straw man, he is issuing a presentment, which is a bill, and a monetary charge concerning any failure to respond and perform. Presentments come in written, oral, and electronic form. The acceptance of any presentment executes a contract between the offerer and the offeree, or the acceptor. In the public sector, presentments are made by officers of the state. In the private sector, presentments are usually made by an attorney as an agent of someone else, since attorneys are officers of the state. In order for someone to issue a presentment to a straw man, the issuer of the charge must discover the trade name of that straw man. If the issuer cannot discover the trade name of a detainee being held for questioning within a brief period of time, he must release the detainee and let him go. The sovereign's trade name is the commercial accountant name under which the sovereign conducts his business. The sovereign's trade name and his trade name are his private property, and the sovereign has custody of his private property. Any registration of the trade name in the public sector via your signature constitute your voluntary surrender of custody of your private property to the registrar and the public domain, and the establishment of a transaction account in your trade name. When a government official says, "May I have your name, please?" he is asking you to voluntarily surrender your trade name to him for him to use against you to make a charge against your trade name transaction account. Until redeemed, the flesh and blood man, the sovereign, is surety for the party in whose name the transaction account appears, his straw man, and is held accountable for any charge leveled against his straw man's transaction account. Because of the U.S. bankruptcy and the institutionalization of fiat money, money by decree, called Federal Reserve Notes or FRNs, there have been comparable changes in the realms of jurisprudence. American tribunals are now Federal Reserve Note tribunals dealing exclusively in FRNs and enforcing the private copyrighted corporate policy of the owners of the FRNs, known as public policy and code. All U.S. code is copyrighted British law that is owned and copyrighted by the British corporations, some on American soil. The American Revolution of 1776 was never ratified by referendum. Had it been put to a vote by the founding fathers, the so-called rebels would have lost. Almost all the founding fathers were esquires loyal to the British crown. The American Revolution was instigated and financed by the British frontman financier Corin de Beaumarchais. National Geographic Magazine, July 1975, page 114. The international bankers bought themselves a country called the United States. United States, a name. United States definition. 1, it's a name. 2, it's a British territory. 3, it's a collective term. Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition. Both criminal and financial charges are commercial in nature. In Admiralty, the military is used to enforce criminal penalties for civil offenses. The money changers foreclosed on the U.S. government in 1933 and used the U.S. government to prosecute their private commercial interests. We are under military rule by the Commander-in-Chief of the military, presented by the President of the United States. Under public policy, which is military rule, we can be penalized for an act even when no one is harmed and no property is damaged. For not wearing a seatbelt or for traveling 35 miles per hour in a 30-mile-per-hour zone. Under common law, each man is in control of his own destiny as long as he does not harm another and thereby form a contract having an obligation. Under common law, each man is free to live as he sees fit without interference from government. Under public policy, the police power is employed for penalizing behavior such as thought crimes, in addition to acts and deeds of substance, for the purpose of extorting internal revenue for the state. When someone violates his own sense of moral rightness, no matter how justified in the eyes of the law he is, weakened under the police power of the state. Therefore, it behooves you to reassess your life and begin to use the power of the documents of redemption in law. These documents are based on power of common law, private property rights, and consensual contracts. They are very successful in crushing assaults on your physical integrity at both the lower and higher levels of government in this country. They have changed the course of every proceeding in which they have been introduced. The common law still exists and it is in full force. It is just being covered up and ignored. Never forget that your name is your private property. Therefore, learn to guard it well. All right, guys. So that concludes our reading for today. We ended on chapter 5. So Sunday we will pick up on chapter 6. I wanted to let you all know that my birthday is tomorrow, you guys. I will be turning 38 years young. So I don't know. I didn't have a lot planned for this weekend for my birthday, but I don't know what my husband has planned. So I just want to let you know, potentially, because he will not be in town till this weekend, that I may cancel Sunday reading. I'll try not to, but I don't know. It all depends on the plans or whatever. But my birthday is tomorrow, you guys. So
Happy birthday.
thank you.
That's a good, September is a
Happy
good month.
birthday.
Always.
Thank y'all so much. Did anyone have anything they wanted to speak on in regards to what we've been reading before we get out of here? Anyone?
No,
All right.
except for it's really deep, of course.
Yeah.
Really, really deep. And I remember, like I said before, I mean, you were talking.
Mhm.
I used to study this a while back, but with a group of people. But
Yeah. I'm
I
pretty
needed a new
sure
group of people.
most of it, a
That's all I
lot
got
of
to say.
us
Mhm. So yeah, so it's good to get back into it right now. So that was awesome. That was deep. So that's pretty much all I had to say about it. I was just thinking about that when you just asked that question. That my answer was it's really deep.
Yeah, I agree. It is really deep. It's very interesting to me, the information, and I really, really, see it as our like it says, our redemption, our remedy that we need, and this is actually what we should be embracing, in order to get our, get our true freedom. I don't know if you all know, but we have an unlimited. We have like there's an account with unlimited credit that we can get access um, to be able to, discharge our debts, like it's telling us that we that it wants us to do. So, I mean, it is important that we spend more time learning this information and taking the time to do the research and studying, that it needs to, like I said, file the particular paperwork, put certain things on records to take control of of our straw man. I've already let you guys know I'm in like some classes with a gentleman who's basically like a genius and brilliant, and to the point where he's basically learned how to get control of his unlimited credit through the treasury account, and get, get his, not certain, but to live and operate on the private side and have all his debts and stuff like that charged through the IRS, be able to um, fund his lifestyle the way he wants to with his unlimited credit. So I'm learning from him, and as I continue learning, you guys, I will be, my goal is to help everyone else and be able to learn this information so we can free ourselves and put our children in a greater position than we most definitely came up in. This most definitely is going to be more than anything for them, for their future. So with that being said, I appreciate you all's time today. Thank you all for listening in. Thank you for taking the time to read with us. And I will see you all on our next gathering, which is Sunday. Everyone have a great evening.
All right, you too. Thanks.